Think I might say something stupid.
Welcome back, guys, to another upload brought to you by your one and only literary Pharaoh. It's been a while since I've done like an upload. I've been going live on YouTube as of late. Most of my content lately has been surrounding the Shedeur Sanders thing. And you guys know my take on that. I don't think it's racially motivated at all. I don't think it's anything. I just think it's about a talented quarterback in Shedeur who's not as talented as he perceives himself to be, number one. And number two, there's a lot of excess baggage that comes with Shedeur. Not Shedeur's doing, but more of his father's doing. And I think that certain NFL teams are factoring in a couple of things. They're looking at, number one, his talent, and number two, is it worth it? Is Shedeur Sanders talented? Of course he is. But is he as talented as people are saying that he is? I don't think he is. Here's a guy who, out of high school, he didn't get recruited by the top universities. He went to an HBCU. And not saying that you can't make it to the NFL through the HBCUs. We know Steve McNair was one player that we know about, that I know about. I'm sure there's been other players who went to HBCUs and that played the quarterback position that made it to the NFL. But there's a reason why players from out of high school go to HBCUs. If you aren't getting heavily recruited by the top colleges, sometimes people go to HBCUs. I know Michael Strahan went to HBCU. He went to Texas Southern University. All right. But those are outliers. Those are anomalies. Those aren't the usual Those aren't the usual things that consistently happen when players going through that avenue to get to the NFL. So Shedeur didn't go to a top college in Division I. He went to an HBCU. HBCU football is like light and day. It's no comparison to Power 5A conference college football. It's totally different. The athleticism, the talent there's a stark contrast in the two. So I think that he's good, but I don't think he's as good as people are saying. And I think the team just passed on him because a lot of teams, number one, did not need a quarterback. Number two, if you did not need a quarterback, why would you draft Shedeur? Do you want a quarterback who's a celebrity, who has celebrity status to be your backup? That's going to bring excess, baggage that you don't want. When I say excess baggage, I'm talking about in terms of the media hype, the hysteria, the fandom, people going crazy, pushing for the organization to put Shedeur Sanders in the starting position. That's if you don't need a quarterback. Now, if you needed a backup, you still are not going to draft Shedeur. Even if you think Shedeur's talent is not that great and you're drafting him as a backup, you're going to have a circus. You're going to have a media circus surrounding your team. You just will. There's no way around it, because if you're drafting him to be your starter, that's the only way to quell the aggressive nature of this hysteria that's following him. Because people want to play the racial card and say it's racial, but that really doesn't make sense, because Cam Ward got drafted number one. Half of the quarterbacks in the NFL are black. You can argue and say the NFL is a black league. Most of the players are black, so it's not racially motivated. I just think that the hype of Shedeur initiated by Deion Sanders, his father, came at a detriment for Shedeur. In other words, if Shedeur had a father who wasn't as charismatic and wasn't as animated as he is, and if he didn't have this magnetic personality, I think that would have helped Shedeur. It's sort of like playing and letting your talent speak for itself and flying underneath the radar. But when you have a bullseye on your back and you have your father, I call it the LaMelo Ball effect, or the Ball's father, LaMelo. No, not LaMelo, but Lonzo. You have Lonzo, you have LaMelo. But the father, I forgot the father's name, but Mr. Ball, the father of the balls. I call it the ball effect because you have a father who's hyping up the son, and the son's not as good as the hype. And I think that's what's happening with Shedeur. People want to believe that he's that great, but he's not, because if he was that good, he would have won number one. There's no team in the NFL that's going to pass up on a quarterback that's that great. No team. We understand the ramifications of having great quarterback play. Usually teams that have good to great quarterbacks, they excel. It's a quarterback-driven league. The position in and of itself is quintessential to a team's success. You cannot have a subpar quarterback and expect to go far in the playoffs, let alone win a championship, win a Super Bowl. So no team in their right mind will pass up on Shedeur if Shedeur was that good. So those are the reasons why I think he fell. Number one is too much hype around his name. Number two, teams are not drafting a celebrity quarterback, sort of like the Tim Tebow effect, where fans, because they love a particular person and they have a huge following, and people are clamoring and chomping at the bit to have this guy start. You don't want that type of noise in your locker room. You just want to focus on football and let the best players on the field give you a chance to win. This is not a popularity contest. And I think that teams were thinking that. They didn't want to draft Shedeur, because immediately you draft Shedeur, everybody's going to want him to start. And it's not supposed to be that way. So those are a couple of reasons. And I think Cleveland just took him as a charity case. They just, well, we already have a litany of quarterbacks on our roster. We have like 4 or 5 deep. It wouldn't hurt to add one more. So I think that Cleveland was the best place for Shedeur to go. In terms of an organizational perspective, in terms of what the franchise wants, because if he got drafted to a team that had a bona fide starting quarterback, then you're gonna run into the problem of, okay, now people are gonna think that there's competition, because people think that Shedeur Sanders' talent is so good that even if he went to a team that already had a starting quarterback, people automatically in their head, in their psyche, are gonna put two of these quarterbacks against each other. They're going to think that the starter and Shedeur are going to be battling it out. And you don't want to give that type of, you don't want to send that type of message, though it's implied, because if you have a starting quarterback and you draft Shedeur, the starting quarterback is going to think that, are you trying to replace me with this guy? All right. It's sort of like what happened with Jordan Love when Rodgers was still with Green Bay. When Jordan Love was drafted, you start to see Aaron Rodgers start to kind of look behind his shoulders, look over his shoulders, like, hey, are you guys trying to replace me? Hey, I'm still here. But Jordan Love was good. I would argue and say Jordan Love was a better quarterback in college than Shedeur by a long shot. So those are just reasons why I think Shedeur fell. I don't think that it's has anything to do with collusion or racism. I just think that he's an entitled kid, not of his own doing. Again, it's just the way he was brought up, and you have too many people that are speaking in his defense rather than allowing his play to be his defense. So I'm gonna stop talking about Shedeur there. So that's what I've been talking about in my lives as of late. Something else that I want to talk about, the number 2 thing that I want to talk about is this Puff Daddy thing that's going on. And I never cared about it when it initially started. I didn't keep up with it at all. But lately I've been tuning in because the trial has officially began. The first week of trial has went on. And I think we've had 2 witnesses. No, 1. I think Cassie is the only witness. There are other ones that are going to come. Other witnesses have given their statements, but we have the girl from Danity Kane is going to be a witness. She's going to be coming up there to speak. There are going to be several other people, several co-conspirators that worked for Diddy or Puff Daddy during this entire RICO case that they're trying to pin on Puff, on Mr. Combs, on Sean Combs. And if you don't know what RICO is, if you look it up in Google, it's basically racketeering influence, something about racketeering influence crime organization or something to that effect. But if you look it up, that's what it stands for. So when you hear the word RICO, they're essentially saying that Sean Combs ran a criminal enterprise that involved sex trafficking, okay, and kidnapping. And the reason why you can say it's a RICO, because if Sean Combs had many people that he had doing his dirty bidding for him, people on his payroll, people to keep the watch out, people to help, because he can't do it all by himself. These things that he's doing, bringing in sex workers across state lines, paying people for sex, which is, if you look at the definition of sexual trafficking, that's part of it. Having people come across state lines and paying people for sex, that's, and I know that's a slippery slope. Some people will say, well, what about NBA players and NFL players who fly their girlfriends from another state to have sex with them? But that's different. That's not sexual trafficking. It's semantics at that point, because at that point it's one-on-one, it's consensual. We're talking about freak-offs where you're paying men sex workers to sleep with women, specifically sleep with Cassie. I mean, they would have sessions that start at 7 p.m. and end at 4 a.m. I mean, there's only so much sex you can have. Like, that is insane. That is not even, you're talking about overkill. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Sex is a good thing, I get it, but damn. But yeah, so I believe that anything can happen in the courtroom in America. I know people think that it's a slam dunk case that Sean Combs is going to do life, but you never know with these trials. He may walk. And I know you guys are saying that, hell no, there's no way. It's possible. It's possible that he may walk. Now, the first week has gone by, and the only major witness that people have talked to it has been Cassie, and a lot of people are giving Cassie a hard time, saying that she's a 304, she's a slut, this is what she wanted. And I just asked the question and say, before she met Sean Combs, was she doing freak-offs? The answer to that is no. Before she met Sean Combs, was she addicted to drugs? The answer is no. Before she met Sean Combs, did she even know how to do oral sex? The answer is no, because Sean Combs taught her how to perform oral sex. Before she met Sean Combs, did she even know what freak-offs was? No. So the reason why I'm asking these questions is because you have to look at the character of the person prior to them meeting the defendant being Sean Combs. No one is saying that Cassie is innocent, that she's an angel. There's a level, there's a certain degree of accountability that comes with the actions and that comes with the decisions that she made. However, she's still the victim out the two. You can't say Sean Combs is the victim, but if you're going to take the two people, the two characters in this particular case, if you take Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura, and you ask anybody with a brain, and you ask them the question and say, out of these two, based upon the information you have, who is more likely to be the victim? Common sense will point the finger at Cassie. Cassie Ventura is the victim in this particular case because she was 19 years old. She didn't know about this. Of course, she's starstruck. She has a dream like any little girl had a dream. She meets this big hip-hop mogul in Sean Combs, who promises her that she's going to be the next big thing. He's going to give her this and give her that. He signs her to a 10-album contract. So in her head, she's like, oh my God, this is it. I've made it. This is the guy she looks up to. She looked up to him so much that she started to love him. If you look at those text messages, she said it. She even said it like, I don't want the materials. I want you. She loved him. But that's the result of brainwashing and coercion, manipulation that Puff put upon her. Puff never loved her. You don't treat a woman the way he treated her and call that love. You don't sit around and let people pee in her mouth and call that love. You don't sit there and let her have sex for hours with other men while you watch and masturbate over her having sex with other men and call that love. That's sick. So at the end of the day, no one's calling Cassie a saint. And I see guys on their channels talking about how she's not credible. Her modus of operandi, or her motivation to get on the stand to testify against Sean Combs, is not driven by hate. She doesn't hate him. She just wants to tell her story. And you can tell she's not trying to hide anything. If you listen to the case and you see the series of questions that the defense team, the defense lawyers for Sean Combs were asking her, she didn't hide anything. She was totally transparent. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, that was me that said that. She's not hiding anything. So this idea that she's exposed, you could only be exposed if you were trying to conceal something, and then whatever you were trying to conceal ends up being hence exposed. She's not trying to hide anything. So it's not her trying to protect her ego or protect her image. She knows what she did. She could have easily taken the $20 million that she got from that intercontinental hotel, whatever. That incident happened when it showed it on camera with Sean Combs attacking her, and the security that were there at the time didn't intervene. She got money from that. She could have stopped there and got her money and left and moved on with her life. But she's not driven by money. She's not driven by hate. I think she's driven by her inner conscience and her subconscious and this inner gnawing at her soul to actually get this thing out. The truth will set you free. As a matter of fact, those questions that the defense team for Sean Combs are asking her to try to, dismantle her character is actually helping her in terms of helping her release that. She's not trying to paint a picture of herself as being something that she's not. She understands what she did. But she was madly in love with this guy. She was young. He groomed her. That's truly what grooming is. If you want to know what grooming is, that's exactly what happened. An older man with a extremely younger girl, a younger girl who respects the man so much that she's willing to do anything to please the man, rather than the man taking this young girl's submission as a jewel, taking it as something that's virtuous. He takes advantage of her submission, takes advantage of her gullibility and her naive mindset. He takes that and uses it to manipulate her. Not only does he manipulate her, he beats her, verbally abusive, physically abusive. And you guys think that, oh, she's a 504, she's a 304. Well, yeah, he made her that way. But if she's a 304, the bigger 304 or the bigger hoe in this would be Sean Combs. He's the one allowing men to bust on his chest. He's taking it in the ass. He's the freak. He found the perfect specimen. He wouldn't be able to do this with any other girl. She was the perfect specimen. Psychologically, she was perfect. Her age, she wasn't too experienced, but she wasn't too young. But she was young enough to be manipulated. She was the perfect specimen. She was the perfect person for Sean Combs to do exactly what he did. And when she was far deep in, she was gone. Stockholm syndrome at that moment kicked in. If you don't understand what Stockholm syndrome is when you end up developing an inner drive or inner motivation to please your oppressor. And you think that by pleasing your oppressor, that some way your oppressor will see the value in you and treat you a little bit better. So when there are text messages from Cassie saying, I can't wait till our next freak off, people say, hey, look at that. She's the one that wants it. No, she doesn't want it. She never really wanted it, but she only did it because of Sean Combs. But now the Stockholm syndrome kicks in because that's part of trauma. If you study trauma, it leads to that. All right. When everybody when you have mass formation psychosis, when you have a mass of people, especially people who are in religion, they tend to they want to please their God, but not knowing that the God that they serve is the God responsible for their problems, because this God is in control of everything. So you feel like, if I can appease this God some way, somehow, because he is that God that you're worshiping is the oppressor, but you feel like if you do enough good deeds, that your oppressor may release the grip or the stranglehold that he has on your life and allow you to live a little bit and bless you and supply you with the amount of grace needed to have your breakthrough that you've been seeking so vehemently. All right? In a way, religion is a more of a macrocosm of Stockholm syndrome, of the people who fall into those particular doctrines or dogmas. That's the same way it is, because Cassie worshipped Sean Combs. She idolized him, and that's the problem with idol worship. A lot of women, especially young women, they look up to men that have money. They look up to men that have status, but you have to be very careful, because that man that has status and money, if you're with them long enough and you've idolized him long enough, that mindset that you have, that particular disposition that you're starting off with, coupled with his status and his power and his influence and his financial backing, can have you in a very, very compromising position. Hence what happened to Cassie. She had to compromise her moral compass. She knew she was in the wrong, but she felt like, maybe if I please him, maybe if I can see to what he likes, he'll see my value and respect me more. But no, because we saw what would happen based upon, this is not based upon what literary Pharaoh thinks. This is based upon what's said in the court and what's said in those papers. When she would not want to do the freak-offs, he would get enraged and beat her. And people say, well, he didn't force her. Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't put a gun to her head and force her, but he used force, he used coercion, he used manipulation, he had money, he threatened her. If you don't do this, I'll show people this videos. So I'm not saying Cassie is innocent, but what was done to her, that lady was raped. I don't even know how she's still alive. I don't even know how she's still able to have her sanity with what she went through. And that's why I tell people all the time, and parents who try to push their kids into stardom and fame, there's a side to celebrityism that's not widely, professed or widely shown. It's the hidden devil that no one sees. People see the angelic part of being a celebrity. They see the fame, they see the attention that you get, but there's another side to that, and it requires selling of your soul. And my question is, in all of this, where was the parents of Cassie? Where were they? Did she have a good relationship with her mom and dad? I mean, I don't know how a 19-year-old just leaves where she's at, goes to New York, and she becomes a slut, but not on her own volition. She's created to be a slut. She's made a slut. She's made a hoe. She's not a self-made hoe. She's made a hoe by the biggest hoe of them all, which is Sean Combs. So I understand why people are saying what they're saying about Cassie, because certain men out there are projecting, and I've been there. I've been hurt by females before. I've been rejected. I had a girlfriend for 6 years when I was in high school. This is me going back years ago. And she wanted to get into modeling. She went to New York, met some other guy, and broke up with me that quick. The guy was more financially stable than I was. I was still in college at the time, and she moved on with her life that quick. So I understand how people can use their own personal stories and project and put that upon Cassie. And this is what I'm saying when I say project. Initially, Cassie was dating somebody. I think the guy's name was Riley something. I forgot his name. She had a boyfriend before she met Sean Combs. When she met Sean Combs, she ditched her boyfriend to start dating Sean Combs. And guys are getting emotional off of that. And I think that's where it's coming from. Because she left her boyfriend and went to be with a guy who had higher status. All right. He had a financial backing that was much more than what her boyfriend had. So essentially, she left her boyfriend to be with a man that had higher status and more money. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. It's okay. If you had a girlfriend that left you for a guy with more money, it's okay. Don't get mad. Don't use the anger that you have for your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife and project that upon Cassie. Cassie has every right to do that. No different than a man leaving the woman that he's with to be with a woman who's sexier and hotter. You see, men, we're more visual, and we love the woman that looks good, that has a body, that has a shape, that can be a woman that you won't feel ashamed to be with in public, a woman that turns heads. You know, we talk about it all the time. You know, guys are looking for dimes, they're looking for a 9 or a 10. Well, women are looking for men that have status and money. A man's looks matters to women, but their looks are not as important as it is for a man when a man is looking for a woman. So I don't fault any woman for leaving a man to be with another man that has more money. It's okay. It's not against the law. A woman has every right to do it. As painful and as shallow and as materialistic as that may be, because you know we often like to say, "Well, just love a man for who he is." Yeah, in a perfect world, that may fly, but in the world we live in today, it has to be accepted. There's nothing wrong with what Cassie did, and I think people, because I've listened to certain channels on YouTube, and people keep bringing that up. Content creators, they'll say things to the effect of, "Yeah, you know, she had a boyfriend and she left him for Diddy. She's a slut." She wasn't slutting before. She wasn't doing freak offs with her boyfriend. She had a monogamous relationship with her boyfriend. She just met another guy who had higher status, a guy who she believed was going to help her career because she had a dream of being a singer. She wanted to be in hip hop. She wanted to be an artist. So it's a career move. I'm going to date my executive producer. That way I can climb to the top. That's a business move. That's a strategic move from a very smart woman, or a smart young girl at that time. She was 19. I don't fault her for that. She's awestruck. You have Puff on one hand. Of course, she didn't know the things. She didn't know about Puff. The Puff she met is not the Puff we know now. She didn't. You think she knew that he was crazy and he was gonna beat her? She didn't know all that. If she could look into the future and visualize the things that were gonna happen to her, she would not for a second consider being in a relationship with that man. She didn't know. In her head, she viewed him as my ticket to success, and as she started to date him, she liked it. She loved it. Oh man, this guy has money. He can take care of me. She thought she was set. But little did she know that as she's chasing that dream became a nightmare. That dream became a nightmare. So I don't fault her for that. Many men are using that as their, as their pivot point to launch attacks at her, to say, "Hey, look, she left her." How many men? You guys that are saying that, you guys have left women for another woman. It happens in life. People get hurt. People may break up with you. You may break up with people. It's a cycle of life. You have to just accept it for what it is. And I could objectively remove my emotions out of it, as easy as it might be to jump on that side of the narrative to say, hey, see, she left her boyfriend. So what? People break up with their boyfriend. It's not like she was married to the guy. And even if she divorced her husband to be with Puff, she has every right to do whatever the hell she wants. That doesn't make her a bad woman. I would argue that makes you good if you break up with the person. What makes you bad is if you keep the relationship going and you continue to be with the person while you're sleeping with somebody else. I don't condone adultery at all. But I do agree with people being honest with themselves and being honest with their partner. As hard as it is to do that, I'd rather you rip the Band-Aid off and move on. As painful as it is, just rip it off and move on. So yeah, that's my take. And she's about to have her third child and she's moved on. She's actually progressed. And Sean Combs has regressed. He's still doing the same things he did back then. He hasn't grown. He's still doing freak offs, still on drugs. So, I mean, that's my take on it, guys. Don't give Cassie a hard time. She's not trying to conceal anything. There's nothing to expose. She's okay with what people think about her. She's fine. She operated on the stand as a true victim. She didn't even see if she was not a victim and if she was the perpetrator. People are actually going as far to say that she was part of it, like she was part of the RICO. Now you can say that, but because she was I forgot what the word, it starts with the P. Because she's testifying against Sean Combs. So you almost have to see her as a co-conspirator if you think that she was part of the RICO. If you think that she was part of the criminal organization that was helping Puff do his thing, then fine. Because technically you can say she was, because she did initiate the freak off, some of them. She called for them. But I don't think she did it because that's what she wanted. She did it because she wanted to make that man happy. That's why Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, he was so shocked when she, aka flipped on him. Remember, he told her, and this is during the findings in the courtroom during the trial. He told her, "I thought you were my ride or die." He thought Cassie was gonna stay with him to the end, even if it meant her losing her own life, which she almost did. Which is why one of the sex workers had to get hidden cameras and put them inside the hotel room, because he thought that if she died, he didn't want to be held accountable for her death. That's how dangerous those freak offs were. That she would pass out from the drug use, from the excessive sex. I mean, that's insane. That's insane. Now, the only thing, I'm going to end with this here. The only thing that I can say that's shocking is that I don't know if her current husband, when I say her, I'm talking about Cassie, the guy that she's married to, the guy that she's about to have her third child with. I don't know if he knew the details of what went on in those freak offs, but if he did not know, if she never disclosed that to him prior to this trial, he knows those details now. And I'm not saying he's going to leave her. I don't think he will. I think they truly love each other. He accepts her for what she is. But as a man, that has to be hard to hear, that people were peeing in your wife's mouth. I mean, people say, oh, that's her past. Yeah, I know. Your past has a way of living in the present too, because men are visual. Men use their imaginations very well. And the things that were talked about in that courtroom, it had to be hard for the husband to hear those things. And it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. So that's the only thing that I think is hard right now, because I'm putting myself in his position as a husband. If I heard that my wife went through all those things, I mean, you could sympathize with her, you could you can empathize with her pain, but she's a true victim. I don't think that she wasn't beating Combs. She wasn't doing all that to him. So I'm gonna leave it there, guys. That's just my take on what's going on. And today's Monday, so there's gonna be more information coming out. And I'm gonna randomly, occasionally, give my take about what I see, what I feel is going on, and what I think is going on. I'm gonna listen to what other people are saying on their content, on their channels, content creators. And I'm going to give my own personal take on what I think is going on. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time. Peace.